Great. It is time to begin our exciting webinar. I would want to thank you all again for taking the time to join in. We have a nice audience today and look forward to having your questions towards the end. Now, we'll be taking in some questions towards the end, so if you do have any questions for Eric or me or Clinton, just go ahead and use your questions box. I'd appreciate if you do not raise your hand, for any questions. This is not a roundtable discussion, so we'll be taking in questions only using the questions box. And so if you do have any questions for us, please make sure that you use the questions box. Okay, let me introduce you to the speakers today. We have on the panel today Eric Randolph. Now, Eric, he is an executive director at United States Staffing Association. He's been in 11 years in the industry with United States Staffing Association, and let me tell you, he is the staffing guy. Okay, so excited to have Eric on board. We also let me also introduce to you Clinton Rosario. Clinton has been the chief architect with eGrabber. He's been with eGrabber for many years now, and he's been instrumental in creating many different products on the eGrabber line. The voice that you hear is me, Rich Kumar. I've been working with eGrabber for about 5 years now, and I've been working with many, many customers in getting them up and running. Okay, so that's about the speaker profiles. Now, if you want to go ahead and join us on Twitter, if you have any questions for Eric, for Clinton, or for us, there's your Twitter handles that you could use and go about tweet on it. Now, you can also tweet about the webinar that's happening at using the hashtag eGrabberWebinar. And if you have anything to comment, please do let us know. We'll be happy to get back to you as early as I can. Okay, enough of me talking. Let me hand over the platform to Eric. Eric, it's all yours. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Rich. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I greatly appreciate the kind introduction. I'm not sure that I'm the staffing guy, but I am a guy in staffing, that is for certain. So today we want to talk about sourcing. It's a big part of what we do as recruiters every day. And today I want to highlight some of the basic principles and begin with some of the introductory type aspects, but I think it's a good refresher before we dive a little bit deeper. So the first thing we want to talk about is when we're doing our searches for specific candidates, be it passive and or active, keywords is really where we start. And it's good to remember that there are alternate keywords. For example, if you're looking at a job title, your job order may say Director of Marketing, but you might find someone that has a resume that uses a terminology like Marketing Manager or Marketing Associate. And when you're using an electronic means of sourcing for your candidates, be it your own ATS with your own candidate pool, or if you're using one of the big search engines like Bing or Google or Yahoo, you're going to want to increase your net and target everyone specifically. So keep in mind those alternative keywords. Same thing goes for skills, not just in job title. When someone talks about needing to have good communication, you might find that someone has highlighted in their resume good customer service skills. Well, good customer service comes from good communication, so there might be some parallels there as well. And then quite often we find very specific searches for, say, downtown Chicago. Well, it's good to search surrounding suburbs if you're looking for, especially those passive candidates, that might be in neighboring suburbs. So just keep that in mind as you expand your search. So what do we do when we get past kind of those initial keyword targets? Once you begin finding those higher qualified, what I would consider an A or maybe even a high B candidate, and they may not be interested in reviewing the job or sitting down for an interview, what is a way that you can dig a little bit deeper? Because sometimes we get searches that are not as easy as customer service representative or sales associate. Sometimes you get things that are really, really challenging. And so one of the ways that I have found that we can kind of play across and search a few extra keywords would be taking that prime candidate you found, going to their LinkedIn profile, and looking for the skills and expertise that they have been recommended for and promoted for within the LinkedIn profile. What you can find is that someone that may be highly skilled in communication might also have very high marks in CRM, for example. This would give you the ability to find some obscure keywords that can help you locate that next candidate. I actually had this happen to me very recently. I was helping a client, a candidate of the association, perform a search, and I was helping her out a little bit, and we had found a cross-reference using this technique of looking at the LinkedIn skills to find a perfect candidate for a $70,000 a year position. So it worked out really, really well. And so here's a pro tip for you. Using Google's Keyword Planner can really be beneficial. So what is Google's Keyword Planner? Well, this is an SEO, SEM tool that Google makes available to you as a website owner, a website developer. So why would I bring this up right here? Well, it's really centered around keywords. And so if you begin to think about your candidates as sales prospects, it kind of puts you in that mindset a little bit differently. So if you'll just simply go to Google, do a search for Google Keyword Planner, you can play around with it. Basically what it will do is it will allow you to build a plan of keywords around a custom search. So you might put in there Chicago marketing director, 5 to 7 years experience. And what the Google Keyword Planner will do is give you comparable or synonym type keywords, and it will show you the relevance and how frequently those keywords are being searched. And this is a great tool to use if you're building your website or adding pages, but it's a fantastic way to find keywords that you may have overlooked, again, especially on those hard to locate candidates. And I have a couple of links here in the slide deck for you. Search Engine Journal, yes, it's about SEO, search engine optimization, search engine marketing. It is all about that, but they have a lot of good information about the Keyword Planner. And RazorSocial.com/Google Keyword Planner. Take a look at that. It'll show you how to use this if you're just starting out, if this is kind of new to you. So those are some things that you can use and do a little research on your own and to improve your keyword acquisition. So moving right along, so Clinton, thank you. So next, once you've got, Clinton, can we go ahead and, there we go, Boolean Basics. All right, so once you have your keywords in place, so now you have to go and do some searching. And so this is really just some very beginner basics of Boolean search strings. It sounds complicated sometimes. It sounds like calculus, but it's really not that difficult. So I want to hit some of the, the top 5 modifiers so that you can kind of understand how things work. The first modifier is the word and. And if you don't use a modifier, your search engine will automatically assume the and. So look in our example, we have Java and senior developer. So if you went to Google and you searched Java senior developer, Google is going to look at this, being in Yahoo the same way. They're going to search Java and senior and developer. So this is just the standard search. So if you went to Google and you searched for doggy daycare, it's going to look for the words doggy and daycare. Very, very simple. The next modifier is or. This gives Google the ability to say, I'm giving you search results with a modifier of or. So for example, if you wanted a marketing professional or business development professional, the search engine is going to give you results if it has the word marketing in it or if it has the word business development. This gives it the ability to not use the and qualifier because you may not find the perfect candidate searching marketing and business development. And again, that goes back to the synonym keywords. So the next one's a little bit different. It's the modifier of not. So you can see an example here. If you're looking for an architect, but you're not looking for a software architect, you would put that modifier in place. The one caveat to this modifier is Google doesn't really accept the word not. You can't use it in this within that search engine. So this would be a really good time if you haven't experimented with using different search engines. Now is a really good time once you get into this step is to go jump over to Bing and take a look. A little bit earlier today, Rich and I were having a brief conversation. We were actually talking about the difference in search results you can get across the different search engines. You can expect between 25 and 30% difference in search results between Google, Yahoo, and Bing. That is huge. So you need to think about that. If you're searching in Google and searching in Google and searching in Google and you're having a hard time finding that candidate you're really, really searching for, jump over to Bing. You're going to get a different search result. And you can use the not modifier. So moving along, we have the quotation marks. So what this does is it groups the two words together. So it treats, in our example, software and engineer as a single phrase. So as far as search engines are concerned, a keyword can actually be a phrase. Doesn't really make sense in the English language, but if you speak search engine, it certainly does, especially when you put the quotations around it. So that's pretty straightforward. The next, we're going to go back to high school a little bit and talk about algebra. Remember using the parentheses to group and prioritize your mathematical functions. That's exactly what the parentheses do in Google for Boolean searches. It gives you the ability to say, I want to find first manager or director. And once you find that, put it together with the and Microsoft or IBM. So you see what you're doing. You could simply go to your search engine and you could search manager Microsoft, capture all of that, search manager IBM, search all of that, go back and do director Microsoft, capture all that, go director IBM, do all of that. That is a lot of time. You don't have that time. You really don't. Time is money when it comes to sourcing and recruiting. This gives you the ability to perform what is ultimately 4 searches all in one by using the priority modifiers. Again, Boolean searching can be a little bit intimidating sometimes. I've given you a couple of resources at the bottom of the page. BooleanBlackBelt.com is run by a gentleman by the name of Glenn Cathy. Really, really smart guy. If you want to get into this, you want to improve your searching, you want to make fewer searches and find more better qualified results, start following Boolean Black Belt, see what Glenn is doing, and implement his strategies. Another one would be John Childs, ChildsBooleanTraining.com. He actually this is designed exclusively for recruiters. You're going to love the information there. He has some video tutorials. And once you get down to it and you think you're ready to jump into the water, you can jump on over to boolify.org. It's actually a little bit of a fun tool for you to, basically it gives you a drag and drop and lets you use the modifiers and or not quotes and parentheses, and it allows you to compose. It helps you visualize composing the Boolean search. So it's a really good tool to get started and figure it out. You're not going to want to do all of your searches there. Oh, and the other thing with Boolify is you can search from within that page. So you can choose your search engine, use the modifiers there to show you how to compose your string, then hit search, and it'll show you the results right on the page. All right, so let's get back to the process of sourcing. Number one, once we've got our keywords, we've gone through our Boolean search strings, we've sat down with any tool that we're using, even if it is just Google and Bing, we've identified our candidate. This is key. We know that this is a qualified candidate. So what's next? Well, here's the important part. How do I get in touch with? With all of the challenges and the changes that LinkedIn has made recently, especially to groups, and the cost of InMails, the fact that the average LinkedIn user, not staffing or recruiting, but the average LinkedIn profile owner logs into LinkedIn once every 3 weeks, you may not have a good opportunity to contact them with InMail. So what do you need? You need an email address. You need a phone number. This is key. Next, once you have the candidate identified and you have the ability to communicate with them directly via email and phone, you need an engagement strategy. What are you going to do? Are you going to go tweet them? Are you going to pick up the phone? Are you going to call them? What is your script? Is there a follow-up email that you're going to send with your when you're leaving a voicemail? What does that look like, especially if this is a passive candidate? But to get things started, we have to start off with sending that initial email. We have to make that initial outreach. And again, timing is key. You never know where someone is in their process, in their job search, or in the happiness with their current position. Again, comes back to the timing on that passive candidate. Once you get past the candidate's email, you're going to want to schedule a time to have an initial phone conversation. You need to present the opportunity. You need to talk it up. You need to learn a little bit more. You may have questions about the resume. And then, of course, the business relationship case comes down to building the relationships based upon the intelligence that you need. Once you have the information to source and find the candidate, you need to do a little research. You need to know who they are, where they are. That does come partially from talking to them and getting email communication, but that gives you the power that you need to sell the passive candidate on the position, increase their interest and increase their engagement. And if they aren't the right candidate for the job today, you need to keep them in reserve within your system, not just a number in your database. We're going to talk about the follow-up strategy a little bit later, but this is a real key point here. So Clinton, I think it's time for me to pause and let you take over.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, everyone. Before I jump into my part, okay, a little bit about eGrabber and what we're up to. Okay, we've been in the business for about 16, 17 years right now, and most of that has been into recruiting and sales a bit. We were picked as one of the Inc. 500 and ranked 201 way back in the year 2000. And since then, we've been making tools for recruiting because we had a recruiting company, and then we used all our knowledge and we're making software to help recruiters do their work, do the stuff that they need to do to get the bacon in. And so we've been moving with the times. We grew up with the internet, and we went through the age of the job boards, and now we're into the age of the social media. So all along the way, we're helping recruiters do their job better, get the extra edge, and move on from there. So here are, we work with a lot of influencers because we've been there in the market. So here are a few people that we work with, some of the top influencers on LinkedIn, most influential people out there, most connected people out there, and so on and so forth. So that perspective gives us the advantage, okay, to help you out with, to provide you value in terms of how you can find emails, find phone numbers, and actually start executing an engagement strategy. Okay, so what exactly am I talking about? Well, we're away from the age of the job boards, and now we're into the age of social networks and social media, and you know all the networks out there. You know where to find candidates, where to go find those purple squirrels. You know the different places out there, and even if you didn't, just a few searches would get you there. A few blogs of experts would tell you the best places to look at: Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Stack Overflow. You name it, you can find it over there. So where do we come in? Well, once you identify a candidate, and Eric was talking about this earlier, once you know that this is the perfect candidate you're going after, typically you know the profile, you can see what they're doing, you can see some press releases about them, or if they're an engineer, you can see the code that they have done, and you know that this is the perfect guy or the perfect girl. So you still don't have a way to contact them and get into their mailbox. Okay, and let's say if you're using LinkedIn, okay, and if you're using any of the premium versions as well, you have a name, a company, a profile that you can use, but again, you have to go through their in-mail. And guess what? The best candidates out there are also the busiest people out there. I know a lot of busy candidates who just don't check their email, maybe check it on a weekend if they get the time. And that might be the time that you might miss a job order. I mean, you might really need to close this candidate before Wednesday, and they're not going to check their email before Saturday, and that's not going to cut it. So to help to find the email address and phone number, well, what did we do? We used all the knowledge of the experts. We get to talk to a lot of people, okay? And you know, when you talk to different experts, each one gives you a different piece of the pie. So we use all that knowledge, put everything together, and what we did was we created a software which is actually a one-click solution. So if you find a name in a company anywhere, whether you're on LinkedIn or Google Plus or on any other social network, imagine if you click a software and bang, get all the information you need to contact the candidate. You have the profile, you know what they do, but here's what you need to get into the door with them. You have the email address, the phone number, other social media links that you could use, an address, physical address if you need to send them something, but I know that works sometimes, but the email and the phone number are key. Okay. Now, what if I told you that all this information came in a very short time? Okay, maybe in a few seconds. What if I also told you that this software that we created, we call it the account researcher, what if I told you that that is not a database, that does not refer to a database at all? What if I told you it refers to the most up-to-date database available, that is the internet? It does what an expert internet researcher would do for you. It takes a name in a company and it goes and performs all the research steps that you would need to find that contact information, and gives it to you in a matter of seconds. All you need to do is click one button. So that is what we created, the account researcher. The idea was, well, if you're so saying you want to close your job order very quickly, why you need to go ahead and get all this information? Why couldn't you just click a button and get it? And for managers, this is also great, because even if you're hiring new people to your team, you got to send them through the whole training of, okay, you go to this website, you pick this piece of information from here, you go there, get the email domain. Why do that when you can just click a button and the software does everything for you? And it uses the best experts training, okay? So it has, think of it as 20 different people, 20 different minds packed into one little button, and that's what we made it very easy for you. Okay. And the nice thing is, okay, once you have this email address and the phone number, if you're sending out that initial email, well, I know you're doing multiple job orders at the same time. You have 3-4 clients that you want to take care of at the same time. So we've made it very easy, so you can click another button, and to that particular candidate, you can send out a email template, okay, with your offer right there. Eric, you've been using this software for a little while, so how has this worked for you?
I have been using the software for about 6 months now, and honestly, there's something in us as salespeople, because as recruiters, that's really what we are. We tend to not like canned, prefabricated communication. But I got to tell you, having the ability to one-click and do the mail merge and have this template in place where I can tweak 1 or 2 words, if that, speeds up the process. And it's an invaluable resource, instead of having to say, okay, now I have, the example on the screen, Jay Foster. Okay, so I've got the email address. Now I have to pull up my Outlook. I have to copy and paste the email in. I have to pull up my template, copy and paste. It takes time. And if, like you said, Clinton, if you're in the midst of sourcing for 2 or 3 or 4 candidates at once, because that's what you're doing, you need the ability to rapid fire send this stuff out quickly. And I love the fact that I don't have to leave this window. I don't have to go to another screen. I don't have to go, hey, let me go look them up in my database now that I know that I have them. It's all right here at your fingertips. One click, you're good.
Right. And once you send out that email, in case you need to meet up the person, okay, then we also give you an easy way to do that in case you need to find a nearby restaurant. And Eric, we were talking about this before the webinar started. You had an interesting story to share.
Yeah, I do. It's a great opportunity to have Google Maps, and we all know the value of that and the fact that you can search nearby and see the local restaurants and things. And often it's not something that you need immediately. However, I was in a situation recently where I was able to find oh my gosh, this is an amazing candidate and this is a really tough position. And so because I had the phone number right there, I just immediately called her office, got connected to her, and started talking through the process, and she gave me the whole, yeah, I can't talk about this at work. And so we were able to use the map function, find a local restaurant, and meet up for lunch. It wasn't that same day. I really wish it would have been. But fortunately, we were able to very quickly in that initial outreach, and that's really the key. If you're talking to your prospect and say, okay, well, I'll tell you what, let me email you and we'll talk when you get home tonight, or I'll email your personal account and we'll set something up and figure something out. It's so much easier when you have the person there to say, you know what, there is a restaurant, a little cafe, 2 blocks from your office. How about we meet there tomorrow for lunch? What time works best for you? Signed, sealed, delivered. It's done. You have the ability to go evaluate, buy them lunch, meet them face-to-face, find out that they are going to fit, and then you can get their permission, go ahead and push them through and present them to the candidate. So it gives you that ability to get you one step closer to the close without having to extend the timeout. It's something you can do practically instantly, and that is key.
Right, and for those, and in the past, a lot of people have asked us, where do you get that email address from? Where do you source it from? How do you do it? Okay, so this is a little bit to help you out with that. So since we're dealing with experts, since we've been in the industry, done these things ourselves, we know some of the best places on the internet now that you can find email addresses and phone numbers out there. So what we did was, we put it all in the software and put it all in behind one little button. Okay, so if you click the one button, it goes and figures this thing out. It does these searches in parallel. Okay, and because it's software, it can do maybe 10-15 searches, open 10-15 browsers in the background that you can't see, and do all these things. Whereas if you're doing it manually, you can just do one browser at a time, because we as human beings, we have single tasking beings. So, but the software can do it all so fast. And if it finds an email address out there somewhere, it could be in a PDF document, could be in an Excel files. I've been surprised to find email addresses in Excel files of school baseball teams. I mean, one of my prospects' dad was actually the coach of his baseball team, and he left his email address in some Excel file over there. I mean, where would you go find that stuff? So this thing, once it finds, it pinpoints you to the document. Okay, the software actually points you to it gives you a discovery trail to find which document you found it in, and that can be a gold mine at times, because then you get background information and you can learn your candidate before you can even start talking to him or her. Well, if the software can't find an email address, and well, not everyone's out there on the internet, but guess what? If your target is not on the internet, well, somebody in their organization is on the internet. If it's whether it's the HR or it's the salesperson, the marketing, somebody would have put their email address on the internet. And as an expert internet researcher would do, they'd go study all the various email addresses and figure out, okay, this should be the most probable pattern. Well, guess what? We just put everything into the software and made it easy. So the software figures all this out in a few seconds and says, here are the 20 other patterns I found. So this is most probably the email address of the person. Makes things very easy for you, so you can get into your recruiting strategy and you can close deals faster. Well, how accurate is it? Well, if it's on the internet, if there's any email address on the internet, we have a 95% chance of finding it. And if you're projecting it, well, since this is a software, it can do a lot of things in parallel. It can do it 3 times faster than any human being. And just to prove a point, we went ahead and we applied for a patent on the process. So you know that if you're trying out the eGrabber account researcher, you know that taking a name and a phone number, taking a name and a company, and finding out the email, phone number, and other stuff, that's you're not going to find anywhere else. Fresh from the internet, not from a database. That's the account researcher. But before I hand over to Eric, one more thing. Well, client development is another aspect of business. One aspect is finding candidates, the other aspect is client development. So going after clients means finding the hiring manager. And typically, if you're starting in an industry, you know the companies that you have to go after, or if you're starting a new recruiting desk, well, it's easy to find companies in any particular industry. You just go to a few search engines, do that, and you get a list of companies. Well, from there, finding the hiring manager, well, it's not rocket science, but again, it's searching. So why would you want to spend some time when you can click a button, put in a name, a company, and a job title, and have a software actually going and doing all these things and making a list for you in a few seconds? Okay, you can do this yourself, but it's much easier just picking it in and letting the software do it. And once it's there, you can press another button and it'll show you where it got it from, and very useful information that you can use in order to go after the hiring manager. If you're the type who likes to qualify the company, we made that kind of simple for you, because there are lots of steps if you want to qualify a company. There are lots of angles that you need to look at. Are they going to pay me? Are they the type of industry that I'm in? So if qualification is meant for you, then we made that process simple as well. You click another button and it makes you this company profile. So the whole process from the time you find a company or you identify a candidate to the time you get all the information about that person, about the company, really boils down to a few, just under a minute, maybe a little more than that. So you can go with the flow, so you can go with the thinking process and go ahead and send out that email, touch base with them, go to the next person, move on from there. So the whole goal of the software is to keep you in the flow, in the zone, so you can focus on what you're doing best, rather than the mechanics of going and finding this, opening different browsers, and that's a lot of work. In today's automated world, you deserve more. So if you have data from anywhere, either on your social networks or your LinkedIn, or if you have an Excel file, a name and a company from anywhere, you can put it into the software, and then you can get the email address and the phone number. Because I know a bunch of recruiters who go to trade shows and they like to recruit from there. They have these bunch of business cards, and then they use that. So yeah, you only need if you have a business card, and if you're looking for this guy's colleague, maybe this guy's manager, well, you can use a tool and find the manager out there very easily. Finally, if I get questions like, do you transfer to any database, any ATS system? Yes, we do all that. You can just click another button and it goes straight into an Excel or PC Recruiter or any other ATS system that you use. So that's how you can take an email address and a phone number. That's how eGrabber can help you get that information, that basic stuff that you can use to start engaging the candidate and moving forward from there. And now to talk about engagement strategies, Eric.
Absolutely. Thanks, Clinton. That was a lot of packed information about the Account Researcher product, and like you had mentioned earlier, I have been using it for quite some time. And so what I want to give everyone today is, once you've used this tool and you have shortened up your process of gathering the prospective candidates that you need to market and market to, what do you do next? Now that you've freed up a lot of this time, instead of spending hours at the computer doing your manual searches, opening tabs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, now that you have all this data, what do you do with them? What's the best way to handle this so that you can maximize it? Well, really, you need to what I recommend is go ahead and evaluate and classify the candidates that you have sourced. I put them into 3 buckets. You've got these A-plus, highly marketable people. They may not have been an exact perfect match for the job that you were sourcing for, but by golly, you really want to hang on to this individual. You don't want to lose contact. You want to make sure that you keep them very, very close because they are going to be highly sought after. It's going to be a high-profile position, and it's going to give you the opportunity to make the revenue that you need to sustain your business. Those are your A candidates. Your B candidates, hey, they're right in your sweet spot. If you are an IT recruiter and you find someone in the IT space, this is you. This is what you do. And maybe they're not actively looking, and maybe it wasn't a perfect fit, but you don't want to lose touch with these people either. In other words, it's a slower process, but it is exactly what you do. And then you have the C candidates. You want to keep them in your rotation. You want to keep them in the database. You don't want an ATS filled with 100,000 resumes that don't make sense, but maybe they're not in your sweet spot, but they are on the fringe. This is an opportunity for you to make some revenues, make some placements. These are possibly highly qualified candidates that aren't in your niche, but they could be used as a contact for you to make some splits going forward. So once you have classified and categorized them within your database, be it an ATS, I actually know recruiters that use a separate CRM for keeping up with passive candidates. I know it's a crazy strategy, but a few folks actually do this. So once you've got them classified, what you need to do next is apply, you can see my bullet, apply a predetermined follow-up sequence for each category. Huh? What does that mean? What you need to do is keep in touch. So you don't have enough hours in a day to make a phone call and send a direct email to every single person at the appropriate integral. You can make phone calls to your highly marketable A-plus candidates because you need to, because this is where you're going to make your big bucks at. But you need to develop a follow-up sequence for each group. So my example here, you have an email that goes up and says, first off, you're going to send them an initial email and you're going to have a conversation with them. You're not going to be able to place them. However, you want to keep them engaged. So next you would send them an email that has an about. That is about you and about your services that you provide for them as a candidate. You can kind of think of this as kind of being like a buyer's agent in the real estate process. Having that buyer's agents to say, hey, here, I'm working for you. I'm here to help you find the house you're looking for. This is the same thing. This is what I do. I help you find the position that's going to be the next leg on your career path. So your next follow-up email could be a short survey. It could be industry related, and in fact I would recommend that it would be. Your third follow-up email could be a standardized informational. If you are in providing benefits, healthcare benefits for your clients, you might want to send them the latest news release on the whole Obamacare legislation, what has changed, what they need to know. It's just simply informational, but it puts your name, face, and logo right back in front of this prospect. Yes, they're candidates, but they're still your prospect. You might have another one that says, hey, here's a referral form if you knew of one person in the industry that might do something similar to your work line. In other words, who would you recommend to do your type of job? If it's not you, who would it be? Again, you want to do another KIT, keep in touch, follow it up with another informational. So this string, this sequence needs to be anywhere from a minimum of 3 follow-ups to 15, 20, 25. It could be as long as it needs to be. You want to maintain people. So again, the sequence is going to be different for each group. You're not going to treat your A-plus players the same way you treat your C players. And so you need to put a lot of time and thought and development into this, because this is critical to having these candidates contact you, because it might be the situation where they're not interested in moving positions right now, but in 6 weeks they get a job shift at work, their priorities are changing, their responsibilities at work are changing, and now they're unhappy. Well, now they know that you're the guy to go to, or you're the gal to go to, that has connections in the industry that can hook them up with their next great career. And then the last step would be schedule a specific review time for each of these candidates. This sounds like a lot of work. It's not. You can block off 45 minutes every Friday afternoon to sit down and review the candidates that are in rotation. Most of them you're either going to reschedule, right? Keep them in your pipeline, reschedule the sequences that are in place. You might want to pull them out, right? You might want to pause the sequence, make a follow-up phone call to them for something that you saw in the activity. You can see where that they clicked or they opened or they responded to something. And then it might be that you look at someone that you have put into your A category and they've responded with, yeah, I'm really set in my position and I've been here 15 years and I'm not going anywhere. Well, you might want to push them down to a C. Hey, every so often, every 6 weeks or so, 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to have a follow-up email just to say, hey, we're still here. Do you know someone? Is there something I can help you with? So it's a general overview of a follow-up sequence that you are going to want to put your prospects in. Again, candidates, but you're going to want to do this for your client-side prospects as well. The reason you do it on the candidate side is you never know when they're going to raise their hand and say, I have a need right now. And I can give you a real-life example. I was using Account Researcher. I had found a very qualified candidate for a very unique position. It was in Chicago, actually. And right within the Account Researcher profile, I picked up the phone and called this young lady's office and was told that, oh, she's no longer with us. So I went back to her LinkedIn profile. I went back to Account Researcher, and I made some modifications. When you go through the trial of the software, you can see how you can edit information out. I was able to find an alternate email address for her. It was her personal email address, and like Clinton was talking about the Excel spreadsheets that are online, this is exactly what happened. She had volunteered at a local charity and had her email address, her name and her email address on that spreadsheet, and I was able to contact her directly, and I was able to put her into a position for, it was a $75,000 a year job. And it worked out fantastic. She had just simply, her position had been canceled at work. Basically, she had been downsized. It was just a perfect opportunity. Had I not had Account Researcher there to go right back in, I wouldn't have been able to get in touch with her in a timely fashion. With that being said, I wanted to give you some resources. There are a lot of tools out there that will help you automate your follow-up sequences. I've personally used Infusionsoft for quite some time. I think we're about 2 years now ongoing with Infusionsoft. It is an extremely capable platform. Acton is another one. It's very, very similar to Infusionsoft. I have used that a little bit. ActiveCampaign is more of a trimmed down version, which allows you to do a lot of the same things with less of a learning curve. And something I saw recently is Hatchbuck. I've not had the pleasure of speaking with them or actually going through their process, but from what I saw, I'm very, very intrigued in their website and the things that they're doing. So those are some resources that you can go research and help you automate some of the sequencing. And honestly, every single one of those programs, those service providers, do this. This is exactly what they do. They give you the ability to schedule sequences, to monitor and follow up, and it again shortens up your process after you have identified the appropriate candidate using you doing your own research or using a tool like Account Researcher.
Thanks, Eric. Hey, that story about the candidate in Chicago was new. Thanks for telling that.
My pleasure.
So the Account Researcher we got it reviewed by quite a few people in the industry. There was a review recently by the Social Media Examiner, and this is a network of about 220,000 plus people. We got reviewed by one of the most connected people, most connected lady, in fact, on Forbes. And so while she was saying, yeah, I like to direct your attention to the paragraph at the bottom. So there's a free trial available, yes, and it's an incredibly powerful tool. Well, you can find all that information that Account Researcher finds on Google using an expert researcher. Yes, you can. Okay. Point is, if you need to do it yourself, and if you don't have time to sit and do the mechanics of it, that's where Account Researcher can give you value. If you're hiring researchers who are not experts and you want to get them going very quickly, then yes, this has value too, because remember, it's got the expertise of 20 different experts put inside, and instead of having your new joinees go through the training and seeing some results coming out 2 months down the line, you can see them delivering results much earlier. Okay, and over time you see that you can give this to both your just your recruiters, the people who call out, and they can do as good in research, and if as good at, they can get as good at finding email addresses and phone numbers and reaching out to people, reaching out to candidates, reaching out to hiring managers very easily. So it becomes very simple to do these things. And the nice thing is we made it very affordable, very easy to get. There's a monthly available and a yearly. Okay, and as a thank you for being on this webinar, we're giving you allowing you a $200 off. Okay, so the off is the $200 off is worth it because it comes with a subscription package. Okay, with the email and phone, so you can get a free support on email and phone as well. You can use the promo code which you see on screen, and you can, if you like to buy on the store, that Rich will be pasting a link in your GoToMeeting chat. You can use that. And that also has the promo code inside, so you can use it to your advantage. The $200 off is thank you from us. Okay, and Eric, before we end up in Q&A, here's something that you wanted to say about ROI.
Yeah, I sure do. Account researcher, and we just kind of saw some of the numbers, and really it is an amazing tool that helps you multiply yourself. And for the cost of your cell phone bill, or less than your cell phone bill, or less than what you pay for DirecTV or your cable, or any of those number of things that you use in your own home in your personal day, this will allow you to multiply your time at a very low barrier of entry. And that's one of the things that I love about it. And I do get asked from members of the association from time to time about, what is account researcher and what's it worth and how does it work? And really it comes down to it saves you a lot of time. And we know the value of time. But if you think about it this way, your average sourcer is going to research 100 candidates in a week's time. And unless they're using a tool like Account Researcher or something to help multiply their time, if they're putting eyes on qualifying the candidates, qualifying the source companies, and the like, it's going to take them a week to properly source 100 candidates. Again, that's going to produce, on average, about 4 conversations, and you're going to get 1 legitimate A-plus candidate in your pipeline. That's fine. That's the way that things are done manually. What Account Researcher allows you to do is multiply that. And so with the time savings that you have the opportunity to, as recruiters, we're always working at capacity, right? We never have enough time. We always need to squeeze a little bit more, but we don't want to add the cost of, say, having a dedicated sourcing researcher, or we don't want to add a second one, right? We want to maximize everything we have. And just for, I believe it was $69 or $79 a month, you can have this tool at your disposal that will reduce your personal sourcing time, which will alleviate or delay your need for hiring more staff. And this is a good thing for you. And really, it comes down to retention as well. You know this to be true. Every single one of your clients has given a job order to everyone else. They've posted the job on Monster and Career Builder themselves, right? They want to get the position filled. They're not exactly loyal to you unless you have a long history of high quality, fast results. And by you shortening up your sourcing timeline and you being able to make an instant outreach and to get an interview scheduled quicker, right? The faster you can put a body in that position in your client's company, the more likely they are to call you the next job opening that they have. You want them to give that position to you first. And oftentimes, a lot of our clients do that. They give us a job order. If we can't find some suitable candidates in about 3 days, then they start sharing it out and sharing it with other outlets. Because again, their job is to get the position filled. They've asked for your help, but they're asking for everyone's help. It's a free-for-all. Using a tool that shortens up your timeline gives you the ability to fill that position quicker, impress your client better, and get them to use you more and more exclusively. This is how retained search happens. It's because you perform results, and we all want to go from contingent to retained, and we do have many of us do have a few clients that keep us on retainer, and it's because of the results that we give them. And again, it comes back to keeping the candidates sourced and put into those buckets and keeping them in the A+ and the B profiles and keeping those candidates engaged so that we can move them forward and present them to the client company for their final interview. And if Clinton, if you can slide me over to the next one, I do want to talk about, we talked about this on our last webinar back in the fall. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." This has been accredited to a lot of people, Michael Jordan, but my favorite's Wayne Gretzky. Yes, I live in the South. I'm in Dallas, Texas, but yes, I love hockey, and it's really a strange thing. But I love this quote. I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you don't try, you are guaranteed to fail. And we shouldn't be afraid to take a shot and move forward. One of the other things, one of the other famous Gretzky quotes, the highest compliment that you can pay me is to say that I worked hard every day and that I never dogged it. And really what Wayne was saying is, I put the sweat equity in. It's not 2005, 6, and 7 anymore, right? Those were the glory days. I remember traveling around and putting on a message on Facebook saying, "Hey, I'm headed to Houston for client meetings." I would get people that I did not know message me directly on Facebook and say, "While you're in town, can we meet up? I want to talk to you." Those things happen less and less now because, the economy has changed. We've changed tremendously since those glory days, and it takes that sweat equity. And so I really want to challenge all of you to take advantage of this free trial. If you don't buy the product, that's fine, but take it, use it, and maximize the time through this trial and see exactly what it can do for you. It's like the old adage, you got to get up off the couch and move forward. And this is one of those examples where you need to seize this opportunity, take advantage of the resource that's been given to you, use it, learn it. The learning curve, that's the other thing. Clinton, we didn't really talk about this. The learning curve for account researcher is so low. If you can read English and type, you're good. I mean, it's not that complicated, right? If you can do a Google search, if you can go to LinkedIn, and hey, we're all recruiters, we use LinkedIn. You can one click. There is no learning curve. You don't need to know all of the great Boolean advanced principles to make this work for you. You need to find, click, and then take action. Follow up, make that initial outreach, send that initial email, pick up that phone call, schedule those face-to-face meetings when you find those A+ candidates, and then keep the process moving forward. So, Clinton, I know that we're running into the end of our time, and I know that there's probably some questions out there, so I will bow out and let you and Rich take over from here.
All right, great. That was great, Eric and Clinton. Some great information from both of you. As joining up, as a thanks from our side, we're giving you a fully functional 7-day trial for the program. I'm pasting you the links on GoToMeeting chat to download the trial. If you have any news for us, if you want to hear about something more, if you'd want to talk about it, if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot out a quick email to me at rich@eGrabber.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. If you have any questions for Eric or Clinton, please do let me know. I'd be glad to get those answers for you. And there's my contact information on the screen for you as well. Here are a few questions that have come up, and I'm going to be directing it to Eric and Clinton as well. So, Eric, when we were talking about the Boolean scripts earlier, and you specifically, told the audience how to use the ands and nots, right? Have you ever come across, a term near that works for you, and what's been your experience on using the term near?
Honestly, using the near term is something that I've not used a lot, so I'm not the best guy to answer that. Honestly, I've used another one of eGrabber's tools called Resume Grabber, and I know that we don't have time to really talk about that today, but Resume Grabber gives you the opportunity to have some inherent Boolean searches right within the whole package of software. And so I've not found the need to use the near all that often, to be real honest. So I don't have a great success story there for you, probably because I've gotten a little lazy using another eGrabber product called Resume Grabber.
Okay. All right. That answers it. Thanks so much. Okay. Here's another question for you. Again, Eric, did you say to use the modifiers on LinkedIn, or is it just going to be on Bing and Google? What's been, what did you say about these search strings when you did, when you told people about the search strings?
LinkedIn's advanced search doesn't really like the modifiers. They give you those different categories, so you can input the first name and the last name and the title, and if you don't have the name, you could simply put the title and then the company name. And so they try to put you into a structure in their advanced search within LinkedIn's platform to give you this ability without having you know how to construct the searches. So they're trying to do it for you. I found that it's not always just completely perfect. I have had a situation, and some of the other examples or the other challenges is having your settings for the advanced search. You can include your first, second, third connections and your groups or any profile on LinkedIn. And so that's one of the areas where a lot of people get hung up on doing the advanced search in LinkedIn, is they don't have it set for all members of LinkedIn. And with a tool like Account Researcher, I may get a first name, last initial in some cases, depending upon whether you have a free or a paid account. But if I can get a first and last name and a company name, I can use my Account Researcher tool and grab it. Boolean searches really come in handy in search engines themselves. So, I like to start with LinkedIn. We all do. But we also find that a lot of times you have to go outside of that LinkedIn parameter. And if you're, it really comes back to those really challenging searches. They're high dollar and they're fewer candidates. You just have to exhaust all resources, which is why I had mentioned using both Google and Bing and Yahoo as well to get that 25 to 30% differentiation in search results. And don't be afraid to go to the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth page of your search results. We get very customary to, hey, if it doesn't come up on page one, like Google even has the I feel lucky button, which says, hey, just give me the first result. You can find a lot of really quality results on those deeper pages, and it may be because the information is on a less active website, like, for example, like a charity that may not get the same traffic that a Facebook or a LinkedIn would get. So don't be afraid to dig deeper there.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, makes sense. All right, here are a few questions directed to Clinton. Okay, so Clinton, if you'd want to, speak up and answer a few questions. Here's the one that says, when you were talking about emails, directly being delivered, does that depend on how they have their account set up? One of the users, today on the webinar thinks that emails directly goes to an email. Do they have to be, specifically tied up to an account to set it up, or how does it work?
Well, if I didn't quite get the question over there, but if I understood it right, well, if you're sending emails, yes, it goes into your LinkedIn inbox. There are a few people who I know who might get an email on their mobile phone if they set it up properly on their Apple or on their Android, whatever. But typically, you're looking at if you want, what's the first thing that you do in the morning when you come to an office? You look at your inbox. You check your voicemail and check your email. Sorry, your inbox, your email inbox. So that's typically where you want to be and where you want to your job offer to be there. So, Rich, I hope I don't quite think that answers the questions, but if there's any clarification, follow-up question after that, I think I can take that.
Yeah, sure. Yes, we'd be happy to take any more questions. If you have any more for me, just let us know. We'd be happy to answer your questions. Now, if you don't get to your questions, okay, I know we've run over ahead of time by a minute, so if we don't get back to your questions, we'll make sure that you get it over an email. Clinton, I believe some of these questions can be useful to others as well. Okay, do you transfer information directly into ACT or to any other applicant tracking systems?
ACT and PCR directly, yes. Through other applicant tracking systems, there's an export feature to Excel. So every ATS system takes an Excel import, so you can just drop it into Excel and take it from there. And another thing that's there in the free trial is all the contacts, the candidates, and the hiring managers that you're able to source using the account researcher. You can keep it, and you can just export it out of account researcher and keep it for yourself. So that's a value for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure a lot of people would definitely find that more valuable. Here's another question to you, Clinton. Rather than narrowing down to one person, can the software create a list of high-impact VIPs, let's say, who work for a hospital nationwide, and create an emailing list?
Yes, you can, as long as you know the title of the person and the company, the name of the hospital that you're trying to target. So you put the hospital name and the title inside, and there's a setting which you'll have to modify inside the account researcher. You just have to tell it that I need 5 people in this title or 10 people in this job title, and then it'll go do the research on the internet, and if you enable it, it'll do it in the research in your network as well and make that list.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Okay, here's another one for you, Clinton. Okay, this reads, how is this different compared to BroadLook?
The account researcher, what it does is it appends the email address and the phone number of anybody that you can put in. The BroadLook system is meant for a completely different purpose. Their systems, what they do is if you point it towards Google, it can, or if you point it towards Hoover's, what it does is it takes from there and it makes a list for you. It doesn't fill in any missing email address and phone number. Okay, but typically, even if you're a BroadLook user and you want to give this thing a try, if you're missing some email addresses and phone number inside BroadLook, you can put that record inside and then fill it up using Account Researcher. Very easy. And by the way, Account Researcher also has a import feature, so you can import a list, a CSV file, and then find email addresses, missing email addresses and phone numbers from there.
Okay. Now, Clinton, can you go back to the slides where we had the offer? Some of them would like to see the offer again. Can you please, bring up the offer slides on screen?
Yeah, sure. 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, in the meantime, any other questions?
Yeah. Does Account Researcher only work with LinkedIn, or does it work with other sources as well?
Anywhere where you have a name in a company, you can take that and put it into Account Researcher. I mentioned LinkedIn and a lot of the social profiles just because a lot of recruiters start their search on LinkedIn today. There's a lot of up-to-date information on LinkedIn, so you can go there and you can, like Eric was saying, you can just type in the name of the company, or you can copy it from your browser, paste it inside, just press a button, and then it'll get all those, the name of the company, the name of the email address, and phone number, and other contact information. So we've made it very easy, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Now, here's a more technical question, Clinton. When you send an email from a profile, you could send it through the template. Does that email come out of your personal Outlook, or does it come out through a private eGrabber system? Okay.
It connects to whatever desktop email client that you're using, and I know some people use Gmail as well, so there's an option for that. So you click it, it uses your own account. It just pops up a draft in your own system, so you can edit it. Like Eric said, make a few changes here and there, and click send on your own. So it uses your default system.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Now I think we are about 5 minutes over time, and still we have a good number of people waiting in. I appreciate all your patience and staying there till the very end. I think that's all about time we have for the questions. If you have any questions for me, Clinton, can you please go ahead and show the slide where they have where you have my contact information listed, so that if people need to reach out to me, they can quickly reach out to me. All right, thanks. There is the slide with my contact information. If we haven't been able to get to your questions, please send a quick email to me at rich@eGrabber.com. We'd be happy to answer your questions. If you need any assistance with the trial, or if you have any other questions for Eric or Clinton, please do let us know, and we will get back to you as quickly as we can. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much, Clinton, for taking your time and bringing together this great webinar. Appreciate it. And thanks to everyone for sitting in a little bit late over time and being there till the very end. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good day.